This is the Iowa Weather Report for Tuesday, September the 1st, 2015, and now our first look at the 0Z GFS Model Run at 1 p.m. this afternoon. Pretty big ridge of high pressure pretty much over the southeastern third of the country, and that's keeping us warm and fairly humid as well. Main storm track is pretty much north of the state, and that's going to keep us mainly dry across the area. Sunshine, few clouds here and there, a little bit of haze. Highs in the 80s to lower 90s will be possible, with fairly high dew points as well, especially for the early part of September. And that looks to stay the case even as we move into the rest of the week. Here on Wednesday, we could see a little bit of activity, especially during the overnight hours, in our far northern and northwestern counties, where some showers and thunderstorms will be possible. They'll likely be during the overnight, as I mentioned. They may creep into the morning hours and then decay. Otherwise, there'll be sunshine, hot, humid, highs in the 80s to lower 90s all through the week as a storm system tries to approach, but that high pressure system over the southeastern part of the country pretty much keeping that storm at bay across the plain states, where it'll continue to be showery and rather stormy out there. But here, our chances are fairly remote, unless you're further west in the state where you'll have some overnight activity at least. That storm still continues as we move into the latter half of the week and into the weekend. Still fairly dry, at least going into the weekend. However, that storm system will finally inch into the state into the Labor Day weekend here. On Sunday, there's a better chance of some showers and storms as the frontal system finally begins to move through the state. Sunday night and into Labor Day Monday, there could be a little bit of activity, but it's going to be very, very few and far between. There'll be some rain. Precipitation amounts don't look to be too great, except in the northwestern counties where you could have nightly rounds of thunderstorm activity. Going into next Tuesday, you can see that ridge is beginning to come back southward and shifting back toward the south and west. The storm track is coming closer to the area. We'll have that storm system moving away with that trough axis over the central and eastern Great Lakes. So temperatures will cool off behind this frontal system back into the upper 70s to lower 80s, which is maybe a few degrees above seasonal levels as we move in toward the early to middle part of the month. But it will be a lot nicer, and the dew points will be a lot lower as well. Going into the extended period, we see the ridge is still over the southern plain states, but the trough, there is a bit of a trough over the Great Lakes into the north and east, and we have an upper level feature over the northwest. And with that, temperatures will be a little bit cool, but pretty much near seasonal levels. Frontal system keeping the cool weather to the north, where we are, from the fairly hot weather across the south, where they should see highs, or could see highs, well into the 90s in some cases. The end of the forecast, around the 16th, 17th September, about the middle of the month or so. Trough, a fairly decent trough over New England and the eastern Great Lakes. Bit of a flat ridge to zonal flow over the south and western part of the country. Flow coming in out of the Pacific and then dives into the Great Lakes. So we'll have a slight northwesterly flow. That should keep temperatures fairly close to seasonal levels in the 70s to maybe around 80 or so. But it looks, we'll see what happens in the future coming days. Satellite image from last evening, you can pretty much see where that ridge is. Follow the cloud lines from the northern part of the Midwest through the plains back into the southwest where the monsoonal flow continues. From there eastward is fairly dry outside of a couple of pulse showers and storms, and with that, from that line of clouds to the south and east, virtually nothing is happening on the watch warning map. Only a couple of air quality problems in the northwest with some wildfires, but it's fairly quiet across the country at this point. But the QPF chart, rainfall for the next 5 days through Saturday evening at 7 o'clock, shows a little bit of rain around here, but the heaviest, as mentioned, over the northwestern counties, where they could see nightly bouts of rain, where they could see about a half an inch with very light amounts elsewhere.